Welcome back, lovelies. Today we're going to be doing a baby Bratz. She has a couple spots where she is over rooted, so she's the perfect candidate for this custom. We're going to start by wiping her face and shaving off her nose. Be very careful with the X-Acto knife. Always make sure you cut away from yourself or wear gloves, or take it very slow. Here I'm using actually a nail Dremel that's meant for buffing and sanding acrylic nails. Now I'm using my X-Acto knife to carve out her eye. She is going to be a Cyclops. I'm just making a groove so that she can have more of a 3D eye. So I'm doing a very shallow canal along the line of her eye. Then I'm going to continue with the nail drill in order to get it deeper and cleaner. I feel like the nail drill has more delicate work capabilities than the industrial Dremel, handheld Dremel. We're going to be making a slime girl, and she's going to be my favorite color, which, if you haven't already noticed, is mint green. Now I'm going to be making my own airbrush paint. I just started learning how to do airbrush, so I'm still a beginner at it. So I'm going to get this down to a water consistency. This is just regular acrylic paint. I repaired her ankle because it seemed that somebody was chewing on it at some point. Now we're going to go ahead and start her hair. I want a lot of droops and stretching and just as cute and slimy as she can possibly be. I almost wanted to look like she has slime hair along with a slime body. I got inspired by a few different Pinterest images from various artists. This resin putty has been very crucial. The only reason I didn't do it with clay is because I wanted almost like an instant dry time versus clay where I have to wait, and then there's shrinkage and possibly cracking. And then if I would have used epoxy sculpt, I would have had to wait a whole 24 hours. So this was just more time efficient for me, and it's not really more expensive than epoxy sculpt either way, so it worked out pretty good. The cheapest method would have been air dry clay. I also wanted the ability to have translucent parts for where the paint was a little thinner. And I also, because of the consistency, I felt like it would do well with pulling and manipulation versus clay where it might just break off if it's pulled too much. So for me, this worked out really well. My last baby Bratz that I did was a seer. So she had a Cyclops eye and then tentacles with eyes at the end. And I used clay for that one, and it's okay. It did good, but and it's very sturdy. Don't get me wrong, it's very sturdy. But I wanted to try the resin putty first to see if I can get a smoother finish and more sturdy. And let me tell you, I dropped her after I made her by accident, and she is perfectly fine. She's very sturdy. My plan is for her not to be posable afterwards. I was going to go through the process of making it so that she would still move her arms, but I decided to go against that because when I started moving her legs with all of the extra drips and drizzles, it scraped off the paint, and I didn't want whoever bought her to have to worry about such a thing. as far as the pieces rubbing together and wearing over time. And then also I wanted her to stand on her own. So I made her more so a figurine more than a doll. So there's that. She still looks like a doll, but she's very much a figurine. And I'm just playing with the drips to see how I like everything. I changed my mind a few times during where I wanted to place the drips, if I wanted to have one that stood alone, if I wanted to all connect to a hairline. And I just decided I wanted it to look like bangs, almost, with little short pieces on the side, slightly longer pieces. Here I'm covering up some of the holes that are from it being rooted. This whole entire thing worked out pretty great because then it covers the hole that I made getting all of the hair out of the head. I went ahead and painted her. This is her first pass. The top of her head is not done because I wanted to hold it. I went ahead and sculpted some of it off camera as far as her hairstyle. Mainly because I couldn't figure out how to get it all in frame, and so I did her little buns. And now we're going to go ahead and play around with the down half up, because she has a half up half down hairstyle. So I've been adding little by little. And I decided to put a little anime, I forgot what it's called. It's supposed to be like the little part that sticks up at the peak of your head. I forgot what it's called in hair terms. But I put that because I think those are so cute, and I like the fact that it can just stay almost like a little anime character. So here she is, fully painted after I removed the string. Now we can go ahead and remove the paint from on top of her eye. I went ahead and put some PVA glue to protect her eye so that I didn't have to worry about going over it with white. And I wouldn't have to, more so that I wouldn't have to worry about it. I didn't want the paint to fill in the grooves that I made, so that's why I covered the eye, so that I could keep that layer where all the creases are for detail thin. Here I'm using a cuticle trimmer, I think it's called. It was really perfect for making grooves in vinyl, and I will be using this in future endeavors. It was just a random thought of kind of like a clay tool that's sharp enough to dig out that groove, and that's what I came up with. I made some mistakes during her sealing process, and mind you, I did seal her after I finished painting her with the airbrush, just to make sure that it's extra sturdy until I put the resin. I still managed to scrape off some parts, but I did get to fill those back in and smooth it out. Like I am doing here. But I knew I was going to have to do that for around the eyes because of the PVA glue. So it's perfectly fine. Also, that area is going to be covered with eyeliner, but I just want to make sure that just in case the eyeliner doesn't cover it, that there is some green there, making sure everything's nice and clean. Okay, now it's time to do her eyeball. I want it to be a very expressive eyeball as far as how big the iris is, and so we're just making sure that everything is nice and clean and symmetrical. I'm doing a lot of different layers, so I put this blue as just the on the raised parts, and then covering the whole thing with a very thin layer of watered down acrylic. I originally was just going to do the edges, but I decided that I wanted the eye to be a tad bit bigger, just to give a more innocent look and for balance. So we covered the whole entire thing with we covered everything except for the center with white. To then go back over and outline here we're just outlining the eyeliner that is going to eventually be black, but I want to make sure that I have it the way I want till we seal it. These particular acrylic markers need to be sealed before they have anything that is considered fluid touch them. Once any kind of fluid, whether it be varnish, water, another acrylic, anything wet, it will run or get messed up. So anytime I use this, I have to seal it before I go on to anything that might touch it. Now to go back over the raised parts with a dark blue. It's not as opaque as I thought it would be, so it works well to have some of that light blue kind of peek through just a tad bit as I push it around and move it to where I want it. I started to try to blush the cheeks, but I just didn't like it. I don't know, it wasn't working out, and I tried to see if maybe if I put another layer of Mr. Super Clear, if it would balance back out. But the more I put, the more I just didn't like it. So I put shadows along the edges of what would be considered her hairline. And then I just decided I really don't like the pink. As you see on the one cheek, it looks very uneven, and it looks almost like crayon or color pencil. So I went and finished up all the other places of the face for that layer, and then I decided to take off the pink cheeks and chin and some of the pink off of her lips as well, and just kept her as a blue. She still has a hint of pink on her lips, but not enough for it to be very noticeable. Here I'm just using the grooves that I already put with the cuticle cutter to accentuate depth with shadows and darkness, and just adding more and more layers, just so it's not too simple. Always keeping the darker shadows on the top of the eye and the lighter at the very crest of the pupil. You do this to simulate that there is an overcast from eyelashes, which she will have 3D eyelashes. We'll add some highlights in her eyes at different depths. The way to do that is to put a very dull white and then put a center of high concentrated white. And I just want to push the depth of this eye as much as I can because it's her only eye, and it's a very big eye. So the more we push the contrast, the better. What's your favorite mythical creature or monster girl? Make sure all the fine details. Now it's time to start adding resin. I'm going to coat all of her in resin from head to toe, but first we'll do a very thin layer. And of course I broke my own rule and I forgot, because this was day 2 of working on the doll, I forgot that I did not seal that last layer of acrylic pen. And because I already started using resin, I don't want to dull it by using Mr. Super Clear. So I'm going to dab all around. Here I'm adding some mica powder just to give her some more glimmer and glam. More so focused at the bottom, but just a tad bit at the top, really light. Then removing all the excess from the pupil. I'm going to continue to put the resin all over, coating every single space on her. I decided at the last minute to use some black resin for the very center of her pupil, just to give it some more depth on top of what we already did. To combat the mistake of not sealing that very last layer of marker, I am just going to coat all around where that marker is, and then put a very thick layer where my spatula doesn't have to actually physically touch the medium. I completed the rest of the resin coating off camera, and I also added a full lash. I haven't quite gotten to the skill of Hexion putting lashes on on camera, so I needed all my focus on it. We're going to do an extra precaution curing layer. This resin says that it takes about 5 minutes, so I always make sure that I get all the nicks and crannies just one more time before I attempt to touch it. Not so much that it could burn the resin, but just in case it's just got that last bit of sticky. I didn't like that she had holes still visible. I didn't think to cover them, so she's gonna have some earrings, which is perfectly fine. So I used some nail glue and a bead to give her earrings. And with that, my slime girl is all finished. I haven't given her a name, so feel free to leave a name suggestion in the comments. I absolutely love you guys' input. I read every single comment. I respond to every single comment, whether it be with a happy face or actual words. But I really appreciate you guys stopping by. I hope you like these little short videos I get to make in between my very, very long ones. You guys have been amazing at growing my YouTube, and I absolutely love you guys. She's available for purchase on my Etsy, and I'll see you guys next video. Bye.